Hello everyone and welcome to what I'm prepping today. I just opened this box of cereal and I bought this and another kind with a chocolate outer coating in a 2-pack at Sam's Club. And Nicholas ate the other kind and he wasn't really fond of it and he told me he didn't want this one. So what I did is I opened it up and it's going into Mylar to check how well it will store. And this is 2 cups, and doing a 2-cup measurement, there was no particular reason why I chose 2 cups. It says on the package that 1 cup is a serving size. I know that normally when people eat cereal, they just go ahead for another one, you know, another bowl anyway. But I feel like cereal, like this type of cereal, is loaded with sugary things, and so it's more of a snack that I kind of feel like should be just opened up and eaten like potato chips. But I digress. I really don't buy this kind of stuff. It's just that we knew we were staying in for quite some time and I wanted options for him to eat. So let me show you what I'm doing. I did this 2-cup package and I did 4 of them here. So you can see I also did it with Fruity Pebbles, and the reason this is here because it didn't seal down like I usually expect it to, and the other ones did, so I grabbed it out of storage just to cut this off, stick in a new oxygen absorber, and then reseal that. So with 5 of those done, that means there was 10 cups in the box of cereal. And then I have just a little bit left, so what I'll do is I will take those little pieces out of there, and then I'll just dump those crumbs. I'm not going to put them anything. And then I'll just divide those little ones up into everything else. And then I labeled it 2 cups. I'll put, you know, a label on the other ones with what it is, and then I'm going to put the date on there. And that's it. Right before, I'm doing this right before unloading the freeze dryer, so that when everything's done and said and the freeze dryer is load is packaged into the bags, then I'll have how many to do? You got it, 20. Okay, why 20? Because that's how many oxygen absorbers are in a package of oxygen absorbers. So I usually make that my goal. Hey everyone, here you can see the freeze dryer is just getting ready to finish its drying cycle. Estimated time remaining is 6 seconds. So I'm going to show you what that does. Now it just went, it counted down, and then now it says 24 hours. This is the time that I added. Normally this cycle is set for an additional 7 hours. I always up this to 24. So after 7 hours, if I wanted to just go ahead and stop it, I could go ahead and do that and, you know, be confident that the food was dried very well. But this is where the adding the time comes in. You noticed before these up and down arrows weren't there. Ugh, oh, gardening already. Sorry, my hands are always dirty in the summer. Yeah, so this is where I would be adding time if I wanted to add more time. You just push the up or the down and it adds and subtracts 15 minutes at a time. Hey everyone, here you can see the freeze dryer is just getting ready to finish its drying cycle. Estimated time remaining is 6 seconds. So I'm going to show you what that does. Now it just went, it counted down, and then now it says 24 hours. This is the time that I added. Normally this cycle is set for an additional 7 hours. I always up this to 24. So after 7 hours, if I wanted to just go ahead and stop it, I could go ahead and do that and, you know, be confident that the food was dried very well. But this is where the adding the time comes in. You noticed before these up and down arrows weren't there. Ugh, oh, gardening already. Sorry, my hands are always dirty in the summer. Yeah, so this is where I would be adding time if I wanted to add more time. You just push the up or the down and it adds and subtracts 15 minutes at a time. And right here is batch 224 in the freeze dryer. This was cabbage and potatoes with some onions added. Cabbage and potatoes used to be a meal that my mother prepared a lot. We didn't have a lot growing up, so not every meal included a protein source, and so this is, I kind of missed it. I mean, someday I'll have to prepare poor man soup for you, or our version of it. From what I understand, a lot of people had something called poor man soup, and they're all pretty different. But we had cabbage and potatoes quite a bit, and I remember her just cooking it in a big pot, and it was actually one of my favorite meals. So I called her just to say, hey, do you just boil that in a pot? And she didn't even remember making it. So I made it, and I threw in some onions, which kind of makes it almost like halushki with potatoes, right? So this is how it looks freeze-dried, and what I did was I added 1.5 pounds, and here's some of the notes on that. I added a pound and a half of cabbage after it was cooked. I weighed it. 1 pound of potatoes, and 4 ounces of onions, and all that was weighed after it was cooked. And I have myself a note here that next time I want to put in less cabbage and more potatoes. I'll probably try 1 pound of cabbage and 1.5 pounds of potatoes, just because I think I'd like to have maybe a little bit more potatoes in here, even though cabbage is the healthiest part of the dish here. So here's how I packaged that up. I'm using my larger gallon bags, and that's it. I didn't put the cups on there because I don't know how many cups it was. Cabbage and potatoes with onions, and then the weight. And I always put the weight pre-freeze dried. And then here is how that looks in there. That's kind of really full, so I have to kind of really shake it down a lot. And you can see it going down already, and then I'll put the oxygen absorber in there and then seal that up. I just put that over here on the stove here, and then I cover it with a towel just so no dust or any floaties get in there. And then I got the cereal back there. So once all this is done, I'll make sure there's 20 bags, and then I'll pull out the old hand sealer as well as the oxygen absorbers. And here's the time that this took, and it's actually a little different. I showed you what the timer on the freeze dryer looks like right as it switches over from being done to your extra dry cycle that you set it at. And this batch ran for 67 hours. It stopped for 1 hour, pretty much exactly. I added a total of 3 hours just so that I could get the day started and not start with Fred, and, you know, had to make breakfast and do some homework. So other than that, it would have been a 63-hour run, but 24 hours of that was my extra dry that I add. So it technically could have been done in 39 hours. But then probably at least another 7 or 8 hours, which is the standard for adding on that the freeze dryer does automatically. So anywhere between 39 and 48 hours, this should have actually been done. But I just always add time. I guess you can't over dry it. So that's it. That's how I'm packaging that up. And that was batch 224 cabbage and potatoes in the freeze dryer. So I've done videos in the past on pineapple and tuna, showing you that the amount that they say is in there is not actually in there. Now, I'm not sure about the ounces, but what I can tell you is the cups. It says a serving is 1 cup, and there's about 12 servings per container. Now, settling doesn't even matter in this because I measured 2 cups, and I got a total of 10 of these packages with probably a half a cup left over. So that means that there are 10 cups in here, and they say that there are 12 in this Kellogg's Crave chocolate filled cereal. So that's it.